Okay, have you ever heard of a cure that's so completely ridiculous, so outrageously gross that it just has to work? Well, buckle up because today we're diving into one of the most hilarious and bizarre stories from the classic novel, Journey to the West.
So let me pose this question to you. You've got a king, and he's been sick for years. Every doctor in the land has failed, and there's a huge reward on the line. What do you do when all conventional medicine has come up short?
Well, your answer is son Wukong, the Monkey King. And let me tell you, his methods, they are not exactly by the book.
All right, so let's set the scene. Our heroes have just arrived in the Zhuzi Kingdom, a place that looks perfect on the surface, but they're about to find out that something is seriously wrong in the royal palace.
So you've got to picture this place. It's a beautiful, elegant city. The markets are thriving, the people look happy and well-dressed. The pilgrims are just there for a routine stop, to get their travel papers stamped. But there's this shadow hanging over everything. The king has been sick for years. He's described as having a sallow complexion and thin muscles. Basically, he's a shell of his former self. And since no one can cure him, there's a massive reward just sitting there, waiting for a miracle.
And you know who can't resist a good challenge, especially one that allows for a little bit of chaos? Sun Wukong! Of course he decides to get involved. But just walking up and offering his services? Nah, that would be way too simple.
So this is just pure 100-proof Monkey King right here. First, he sees the crowd gathered around the royal notice for a doctor. Then, he secretly conjures up this blast of magical wind and sand to distract everybody. While they're all coughing and rubbing their eyes, he zips over, rips the notice off the board, and shoves it right into his buddy Pigsy's sleeve. Then poof, he disappears, leaving poor Pigsy holding the bag, literally.
So when all the sand settles, someone spots the notice sticking out of Pigsy's clothes, and the crowd just erupts. They think he's the miracle doctor they've been waiting for. And Pigsy, of course, is in full-on panic mode, trying to tell them it's a mistake, but no one is listening.
Thinking fast, Pigsy basically throws Wukong under the bus. He says, "My senior brother is very arrogant. He wanted you to invite him, so he deliberately placed the papers on me. He's just trying to save his own skin, but the funny thing is, he's not wrong. That's exactly the kind of stunt Wukong would pull."
So, the rumor of this new miracle doctor spreads like wildfire, and Wukong gets summoned into the palace. But he's not just there to make a diagnosis. No. He's there to put on a show.
Now this right here is a crucial detail. The king, being so high and mighty, feels it's beneath his royal status to go and greet this doctor personally. So he sends his ministers instead. Wukong takes note of this little insult, and you can be sure he files it away for later.
Once he's at the palace, Wukong announces he's going to perform the legendary hanging thread pulse diagnosis. This is this mythical technique where a doctor can supposedly diagnose a patient from another room just by feeling their pulse through a long thread tied to their wrist. It sounds amazing and completely impossible, right? It's pure theater.
So how does he pull it off? It's classic Wukong. He secretly plucks 3 hairs from his own tail and magically transforms them into these beautiful golden threads. He has them attached to the king's wrist and then makes a huge show of it, loudly calling out his findings for everyone to hear. But here's the trick. He's not reading a pulse. He's reading the situation. The diagnosis isn't magical. It's psychological.
And after a big dramatic pause, Wukong delivers his diagnosis. He tells the court the king isn't really physically sick. He's suffering from fear and depression, and that's what's making him feel so awful. And he hits the nail on the head. The king is overjoyed, basically shouting, "Yes, that's it. That's exactly how I feel."
Okay, diagnosis complete. Time for the cure. And this is where Wukong's little plan for revenge really starts to take shape.
Wukong starts by trolling the entire court. He says he needs ingredients for a Wujin Pill. The list is just absurd. He asks for old duck farts flying in the air, carp urine from a rapid stream, even powder from the Queen Mother's compact, and whiskers from a dragon. I mean, can you imagine? The officials are just standing there, completely baffled.
So while the court is having a collective panic attack about how to catch dragon whiskers, Wukong is mixing the real recipe. And what the king is actually going to eat is a little different. It's 1 long of rhubarb, 1 long of badu, which is a really powerful laxative, some ash from the bottom of a cooking pot, and horse urine. Yes, you heard that right.
And of course, you can't wash that concoction down with just any old water. Wukong demands rootless water, which is just rainwater. But to make it seem extra fancy, he secretly tells the Dragon King of the East China Sea to fly over and spit a little rain shower for them to collect.
The dedication to the prank is just next level.
So the king takes this absolutely disgusting pill. What happens next is pretty much exactly what you'd expect, and it is all part of Wukong's grand design.
Not long after swallowing the pill, the king's stomach starts to rumble. He has to make a few very urgent trips to the latrine. The powerful laxatives are working their magic, let's just say, giving his system a very direct and undignified shock.
But here's the craziest part. It actually works. After this thorough cleansing, the king feels fantastic. His energy is back, his qi and blood are flowing properly, and he feels better than he has in years. He's cured. The disgusting medicine was a complete success.
And this is where we get the real punchline. Wukong's goal was never just about healing. He straight up says he wanted, quote, to give this arrogant king who did not understand the etiquette a small punishment. Remember when the king was too proud to greet him? This was the payback, a lesson in humility, served with a side of horse urine.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? In this case, a truly legendary prank didn't just cure the king's body, it treated the sickness in his character too. It just goes to show you, sometimes the most unconventional cure is exactly what the doctor, or in this case the Monkey King, ordered.